I was actually very surprised to understand what moves mortgage rates. My name's Nick Waldner with the Waldner Winners team of Keller Williams. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. But it wasn't until Barry Habib, who is a great mentor and teacher that is actually from the mortgage industry, spent some time teaching not only myself, but my entire team a little bit more about what happened over the last couple of years. So let's dig into that together. So what you see here is as inflation slowly ticks up, so does interest rates. As inflation slowly ticks down, so does interest rates. And you can see that in the graph all the way up until we get to that gray bar. Now, what is that gray bar? It's COVID. In fact, anytime you see a graph anywhere and there's a big, huge drop, it's always COVID. So you can see how inflation took a massive dive. Why? Because we were all in fear. Nobody wanted to buy anything. We all stayed in our homes, and all of a sudden, everything was for sale and no one was a buyer. So that means inflation took a dive. Now, at that same time, what would have happened to the interest rates, or what should have happened? They should have dove. But we can't have interest rates at 0%, and the government knows that. So they stepped in and they did something called quantitative easing. What does that even mean? Quantitative easing basically means that they become the secondary market and will buy any mortgages on the secondary market. When you go to your lender and you get your mortgage and you sign your note, your lender takes that note and turns around and sells it on the secondary market. Well, now the government's stepping in and saying, we're your buyer, we'll buy all of them. And every refinance, every loan that any lender could do had a buyer for it, as long as it fit a certain model. So they started doing as many as they could, and they realized that they could keep the interest rate exactly where they are because they had a guaranteed buyer at that interest rate. So even as the inflation dropped, interest rates stayed the same. Now, if you look, inflation starts to come up, and what you should have seen is the government step in and say, okay, wait, we're not gonna buy anymore. Inflation's figured itself out. We're gonna let it go back to its natural market. But what did everybody say? Oh, this isn't inflation, this is transitory, it's transitory, it's transitory. Well, they were wrong. And it's only now that we understand that they were wrong. So they didn't stop buying. They actually went another year of continuing to buy. So why would anybody raise their interest rates? Consumers liked it, and there was a buyer on the secondary market. Eventually, the government said, wait, we can't buy these anymore. And now you see this huge spike in interest rates because now your lender, your bank, will turn around to the secondary market and they actually have to find a true buyer. It's not the government anymore. So you see this difference of what happens with inflation and what happens with the interest rates. Then you see a period where that didn't hold true, and why? Because there was some false stuff going on with the government helping the market, and now we're starting to see it go up again. So right now, inflation's high. Where is inflation going? It's coming down. Where do we think interest rates are going? Believe it or not, I think there's hope in the future. If you guys have questions, you want to talk about any of this stuff, you want to share your ideas, reach out to me anytime. I'm always available to talk this, whether it's real estate, mortgage. My job is just to help you with home ownership, so reach out anytime.